Jaws. Steven Spielberg's 1975 thriller revolutionized cinema by starting with unseen terror. A young woman attacked by an invisible shark during a late-night swim becomes the first victim in what would become the summer blockbuster era. The film's production budget ballooned to $12 million, 3 times the original estimate, making it an enormous financial risk for Universal Studios. Mechanical failures with the animatronic shark, nicknamed Bruce, forced Spielberg to adopt a less is more approach that ultimately strengthened the film's impact. The shark remains completely hidden during the opening attack, with audiences experiencing the horror through the victims' panicked reactions, splashing water, and muffled screams. John Williams' iconic 2-note score builds dread without revealing the source of danger, creating unbearable tension. This restraint tapped into primal human fear of unseen predators lurking beneath the surface. The opening instantly hooked audiences by proving that what you don't see is far more terrifying than what you do, establishing immediate stakes through visceral fear. Spielberg's forced minimalism became a masterclass in suspense, influencing generations of filmmakers. The film became the first to gross over $100 million worldwide, establishing the template for summer blockbusters and changing Hollywood's release strategy forever. Raiders. Steven Spielberg's 1981 adventure masterpiece opens with archaeologist Indiana Jones infiltrating a booby-trapped South American temple to steal a golden idol. The $20 million production, shot in just 73 days across Tunisia, France, Hawaii, and England, wastes no time establishing its protagonist through pure action. Jones carefully swaps the idol for a sandbag to avoid triggering pressure-sensitive traps, but his plan fails spectacularly. The temple unleashes spike traps, collapsing walls, and the now iconic rolling boulder that chases Jones through winding corridors. No dialogue occurs during the first 5 minutes, yet audiences instantly understand everything about this character through his quick thinking, athletic prowess, and determination. The opening hooked audiences by delivering non-stop action that immediately established the stakes, tone, and protagonist's capabilities without a single word of exposition. The sequence ends with Jones barely escaping as the temple exterior collapses behind him, only to be confronted by rival archaeologist René Belloc, who steals the idol. John Williams' adventure score perfectly punctuates each moment of danger and triumph. The film opened June 12, 1981, became the highest-grossing film of that year, and won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. Spielberg and producer George Lucas created the template that would define adventure cinema for decades. Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan's 2008 superhero epic begins with a bank robbery that immediately subverts expectations. A gang of clown-masked criminals systematically execute a heist on a mob bank, but the sequence becomes a bloodbath as the robbers murder each other for larger shares of the money. Nolan shot the opening using IMAX 70mm cameras, capturing 28 minutes of footage in the large format to create visceral impact. Each crew member believes they're working with partners, but the Joker has orchestrated their mutual destruction. The opening hooked audiences by withholding the villain's identity until the final moments, building suspense through mystery while delivering spectacular action. Heath Ledger's Joker emerges as the sole survivor, with his instantly iconic line about, "Whatever does not kill you, making you stranger." This bank robbery was tragically the only scene Ledger previewed before his death on January 22, 2008, making his performance even more poignant. The sequence establishes the Joker's genius for chaos, turning meticulous planning against itself to create maximum destruction. Ledger's portrayal earned him a posthumous Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Nolan's decision to open with the villain rather than the hero immediately signaled this would not be a conventional superhero film, instead presenting a morally complex world where evil operates with terrifying intelligence and purpose. Star Wars. George Lucas's 1977 space opera begins with revolutionary visual storytelling that changed cinema forever. Yellow text crawls across a black background, inspired by 1930s Flash Gordon serials, establishing the Galactic Civil War and stolen Death Star plans before a single character appeared. The opening hooked audiences through unprecedented scale and spectacle as a massive Imperial Star Destroyer enters frame, seemingly endless in its pursuit of a tiny rebel blockade runner. The ship size comparison immediately communicates the Empire's overwhelming power and the rebellion's desperate situation, creating instant investment in the conflict. John Williams' heroic main theme, and later the menacing Imperial motifs accompany the visual feast, creating a complete sensory experience. Originally released simply as Star Wars, before being retitled A New Hope in 1981, the film established visual and narrative conventions that defined space opera for generations. The opening crawl solved complex exposition problems while maintaining forward momentum, a technique so effective it became a franchise trademark, appearing in every numbered Star Wars film. Lucas combined practical effects, scale models, and innovative camera techniques to create images that felt both futuristic and lived in. This opening transforms science fiction from B-movie status to legitimate blockbuster genre, proving that spectacular visuals paired with mythic storytelling could captivate mainstream audiences. Scream. Wes Craven's 1996 horror film opens with a subversive masterstroke that instantly hooked audiences by breaking every genre convention. Drew Barrymore, the film's biggest star, originally cast as protagonist Sidney Prescott, requested to play the opening victim instead to shock audiences. The 13-minute sequence functions as a self-contained horror short, written by Kevin Williamson as a separate one-act play before being incorporated into the screenplay. Ghostface calls Casey Becker with the now famous question about her favorite scary movie, beginning a deadly game of horror film trivia. The killer reveals he's watching Casey, knows her boyfriend Steve is tied up outside, and will murder them both if she answers incorrectly. The opening hooked audiences by subverting the expectation that the biggest star would survive, immediately establishing that no character is safe in this film. The tension builds methodically through dialogue rather than jump scares, directly referencing 1979's When a Stranger Calls, while inverting its premise. The sequence revitalized the slasher genre by satirizing horror tropes while employing them effectively. Sunset Boulevard. Billy Wilder's 1950 noir masterpiece opens with protagonist Joe Gillis floating dead in a swimming pool, narrating his own demise from beyond the grave. The image instantly hooks audiences through its bold narrative choice and striking visual symbolism. Wilder filmed the shot using a mirror placed on the pool bottom to capture reflections of William Holden's corpse and photographers gathered above. Joe's voiceover offers darkly ironic commentary about how the swimming pool he always wanted has become the place where his life ends, immediately establishing the film's dark tone and cynical view of Hollywood. The opening hooked audiences by beginning with the ending, transforming the film into a mystery where viewers know the destination but must discover the journey. The swimming pool represents both luxury and death, wealth and moral corruption, success and ultimate failure. Wilder and co-writer Charles Brackett's screenplay establishes the dead narrator technique that influenced countless noir films and detective stories. The sequence demonstrates that revealing the ending does not eliminate suspense if the execution is masterful enough to make the journey compelling. Wilder's direction transforms Hollywood glamour into something grotesque, using the pool as a perfect metaphor for Tinseltown's beautiful surface, concealing darker truths beneath. This opening proved that noir could be both visually stunning and morally complex, establishing Wilder as a master of tone setting through single, unforgettable images. Inglourious Basterds. Quentin Tarantino's 2009 World War II film opens with 20 minutes of nearly pure dialogue-driven tension that instantly hooked audiences through masterful suspense building. Colonel Hans Landa arrives at a French farmhouse seeking hidden Jews, employing sophisticated psychological warfare rather than overt threats. Christoph Waltz's performance as Landa creates unbearable tension through excessive politeness, asking permission before smoking his pipe, complimenting the farmer's daughters, then demanding milk instead of wine to establish dominance. The opening hooked audiences by building suspense through conversation rather than action, proving that words can be as terrifying as violence when delivered with menace. Landa speaks multiple languages and touches one daughter's wrist to check her pulse, demonstrating physical control while maintaining a genteel facade. Tarantino's camera angles shift to reflect power dynamics, positioning the farmer, La Petite, at screen edges while Landa occupies center frame. The camera pans below floorboards mid-scene, revealing Jews hiding underneath and confirming the audience's worst fears. Landa drops his polite mask when revealing he knows about the hidden Jews, as camera angles shift to low shots emphasizing his menace. The sequence culminates with Landa giving permission for one girl to escape, an act of calculated mercy that establishes him as the Jew hunter antagonist. Waltz's nuanced performance earned him an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and Tarantino's meticulous direction established Landa as one of cinema's great villains. By the way, if you're enjoying this breakdown, I post videos like this all the time. I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. Lion King. Disney's 1994 animated epic opens with Circle of Life, an elaborate musical sequence that instantly hooked audiences through sheer visual and emotional spectacle. Hundreds of animated animals migrate across the African savanna toward Pride Rock, where newborn Simba awaits presentation to the kingdom. Elton John and Tim Rice's Academy Award-nominated composition accompanies the journey, building from quiet dawn to triumphant crescendo. The animation depicts coordinated movement of diverse species, from tiny insects to massive elephants, all paying homage to the newborn prince. The opening hooked audiences by delivering an overwhelming sensory experience that demonstrated animation could achieve the epic scale of live-action cinema. Rafiki the Mandrill Shaman presents Simba to the gathered multitude while King Mufasa, voiced by James Earl Jones, watches with pride and establishes the family hierarchy. The Circle of Life sequence became iconic in animation history, proving Disney could create sweeping, operatic storytelling that resonated across all ages. No dialogue interrupts the music, allowing pure visual storytelling and song to create maximum impact. The majestic tone harbors tragic future events, giving the celebration an underlying poignancy that deepens upon rewatching. The scene establishes visual grandeur and the film's central themes of destiny, legacy, and the natural order in just minutes. Matrix. The Wachowskis' 1999 science fiction masterpiece opens with Trinity pursued across rooftops by agents in a dark, rain-soaked urban environment. Carrie-Anne Moss performs gravity-defying martial arts moves, wall runs, and impossible leaps that immediately establish the Matrix's reality-bending rules. The sequence introduces bullet time visual effects, where cameras rotate around frozen action to create unprecedented cinematic imagery. The opening hooked audiences by presenting action choreography unlike anything seen before, immediately raising questions about what kind of world allows such impossible physics. Trinity's black leather suit and sunglasses establish the film's sleek visual aesthetic that would define turn-of-the-millennium science fiction. Agents pursue relentlessly with superhuman speed but fail to capture Trinity, who escapes through a ringing telephone. No exposition occurs, yet viewers instantly understand that something is fundamentally wrong with this reality where humans can bend space and time. The Wachowskis combined wirework, green screens, and practical effects to create seemingly impossible physics that revolutionized action cinema. Up. Pixar's 2009 animated film opens with a wordless opening montage of approximately 5 minutes that instantly hooked audiences through pure visual storytelling and emotional devastation. The Married Life sequence chronicles Carl and Ellie's entire relationship from childhood meeting to her death, containing no dialogue, only Michael Giacchino's instrumental score. Young Carl and Ellie bond over shared dreams of adventure, marry, work together, improve their home, and grow old side by side. The opening hooked audiences by achieving profound emotional depth without a single word, proving that visual storytelling alone can create devastating impact. The montage includes a silent scene where Ellie learns she cannot have children, communicated entirely through facial expressions and body language. Director Pete Docter originally planned a slapstick punching game between the couple, but test audiences found it too violent, leading him to choose this emotional version instead. Ellie's illness and death scene, where Carl holds her hand in the hospital, became one of animation's most powerful moments. The film won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, and this opening became one of animation's most celebrated sequences. The lack of dialogue forced active engagement with visual narrative, creating deeper emotional investment. Giacchino's score carries the emotional weight, rising and falling with the couple's joys and sorrows. This sequence influenced countless animated films and established that Pixar could deliver sophisticated adult storytelling within family entertainment. Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese's 1990 crime epic opens with Henry Hill's iconic voiceover, immediately hooking audiences with brutal honesty and instant character establishment. Ray Liotta delivers the now famous line about always wanting to be a gangster as far back as he can remember, instantly establishing character motivation and the film's central perspective. This single sentence communicates everything about Henry's values, ambitions, and the world he inhabits. The opening hooked audiences by dropping them directly into the protagonist's mindset, making viewers complicit in his journey from the very first words. Scorsese employs voiceover narration throughout the film, providing internal monologue and matter-of-fact commentary on mob life. The opening establishes tone through its casual attitude toward organized crime, treating violence and criminality as mundane career choices rather than moral transgressions. Scenes cut between Hill's nostalgic memories and present-day consequences, creating tension between romanticized past and harsh reality. The voiceover technique became synonymous with Scorsese's mob films and influenced crime cinema for decades. Henry's opening line became one of the most quoted first sentences in film history, perfectly encapsulating the film's exploration of the American gangster mythos. Fury Road. George Miller's 2015 post-apocalyptic masterpiece opens with Max Rokitansky's narration, describing civilization's collapse and his own broken state. Tom Hardy delivers the line about the world falling and each person being broken in their own way, immediately establishing the harsh desert environment and relentless survival stakes. The opening hooked audiences by immediately transitioning from narration to high-octane chase sequences, with war boys pursuing Max's V8 Interceptor across the wasteland, throwing viewers directly into chaos with without preamble. Visual storytelling emphasizes action and spectacle over exposition, creating immediate adrenaline through pure kinetic energy. Miller's direction demonstrates that post-apocalyptic worlds can be established through imagery and action, rather than lengthy explanations. The film won 6 Academy Awards for technical achievements including Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, and Best Costume Design. Miller prioritized practical effects over computer-generated imagery, creating tangible danger and spectacular stunts that hooked audiences through visceral, real-world action. The minimal dialogue approach allows the wasteland setting and desperate survival to communicate everything necessary about this world. Blood. Paul Thomas Anderson's 2007 period drama opens with a stretch of wordless visual storytelling that instantly hooked audiences through raw character establishment. Daniel Day-Lewis portrays Daniel Plainview, a silver miner alone in the California desert during the 19th century, discovering ore through brutal physical labor. The sequence shows Plainview crawling through treacherous landscapes, suffering injuries, and persisting despite pain, establishing his single-minded pursuit of wealth. The opening hooked audiences by revealing character entirely through action and physical commitment, creating immediate understanding without exposition. Anderson's cinematography captures the harsh beauty of desert landscapes contrasted with Plainview's physical suffering. No dialogue occurs, yet audiences understand everything about this character's determination, resourcefulness, and willingness to endure anything for profit. Johnny Greenwood's haunting score complements the visuals without overwhelming them, adding emotional texture to the stark imagery. Day-Lewis's physical commitment to crawling and scrambling sequences demonstrated the method acting approach that would earn him an Academy Award for Best Actor. Anderson's meticulous direction emphasizes visual storytelling and performance over dialogue, influencing contemporary dramatic cinema. The sequence establishes themes of ambition, isolation, and the destructive pursuit of success that define the entire film. Casino. Martin Scorsese's 1995 Las Vegas crime film opens with Sam Ace Rothstein's car exploding in spectacular fashion, instantly hooking audiences through violent spectacle and immediate danger. Robert De Niro enters his Cadillac Eldorado, turns the ignition, and the vehicle erupts in flames, creating a dramatic visual that establishes the dangerous world of organized crime gambling. The opening hooked audiences by starting with explosive action that immediately established life or death stakes, promising violence and danger throughout the film. The explosion is shown 3 times throughout the opening sequence in regular speed, slow motion revealing De Niro escaping, and immediate aftermath, creating mounting tension through repetition. The scene draws inspiration from an actual October 4th, 1982 car bombing of Frank "Lefty" Rosenthal in Las Vegas, grounding the violence in real events. Scorsese's decision to begin with attempted murder, rather than gradual tension building, demonstrates his confidence in visceral imagery to capture attention. The spectacular explosion establishes tone within seconds, immersing viewers in a world where casual morning routines can become death sentences. If this was worth your time, think about subscribing so you catch every new upload. Thanks for watching.